Hi everyone, welcome back to the Massive Fan Podcast. I'm back a little earlier than usual, and that's because I did kind of record both my Wen and Alan videos together so that I could try and get this out to you as soon as possible. Hopefully after this I can stick to my Tuesday, Wednesday or Monday, Tuesday posting timeline and get out a video a week. Fingers crossed on that. So I think in my previous video, we talked through the entire timeline of Alan and Wen and their relationship, when they got together, how they celebrated the anniversaries, when they probably broke up, the big fights post their breakup. And this video is all about my thoughts on why they both kind of continued living together. Why one didn't immediately move out, why they probably still shared a bed in the series. I think that, in my opinion, there is a legitimate explanation to all of this. Whether it is an explanation that a lot of people see sense in or agree with is a different thing. I think there is an explanation though, and that's what I'm kind of going to discuss in this video. Without further ado, let's get started. So I think the big question that everyone had about Wen and Alan having broken up but still living together was, why are they still living together, right? Why are these two people who obviously broke up a while back, who are not happy in each other's company any longer, why are they still living together? And a lot of people kind of put that on Wen, which, you know what, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing here, I'm just laying out the facts right now. I will give my opinion a little later, but this is the point where a lot of people kind of turn on Wen. And they're like, he should have been the one who moved out. He should have been the one who put some distance between them because he was the one who got over Alan. He was the one who wanted to end the relationship. So he should have left, right? And I'm not saying that's wrong. I think 100%, like if you break up with someone and you are kind of over the feelings, even if the other person is not, then the onus is on you to put that distance, to make sure that the other person realizes that, hey, this is not going to go anywhere. We're no longer going to be together. Let's get a clean break. But I think there were a lot of factors at play for Wen and Alan, given the timing of their breakup and what was going on in the world at that time, which a lot of people tend to forget because the concept of COVID is never brought in the storyline of Alan and Wen. And so people forget that, hey, you know what? COVID was ongoing probably just around the time of their breakup as well. It was peak COVID, right? I live in an Asian country. I'm from India. I've said this before. I can vouch for the fact that end of 2020 was one big round, but all throughout 2021 there were scares, there were lockdowns, there were still a lot of people dying from the disease. And so given that, I think given that it was COVID era, 2021, even if they had broken up, even if these two people no longer had romantic feelings for each other, they had been in a relationship for 5 years. They cared about each other. There is this big bad disease out there that has a ridiculous body count. I think if I were Alan, I would not have wanted one to go out and do apartment hunting at that time, be exposing himself to more people and unnecessarily kind of putting himself in danger. And one himself was probably not keen on doing it, because even if you aren't someone who is particularly worried about your health, COVID brought out a side in all of us where we kind of were terrified, right? Mortality was something that we were seeing day to day happen, and things were happening regularly to people of all ages, and you were kind of faced with your mortality that, hey, would I, if I had to put myself in a situation where I would be in danger, would I do it? And a lot of people's answer was no, right? A lot of people stayed home, we worked from home, we spent time with our families. It took a long time for the world to come back to a place where we're going out again regularly. And so I think a lot of people forget that this was the kind of time during which Wen and Alan broke up. And so very naturally, I don't think either of them were keen on either moving out or letting the other one move out, and face the dangers of the world as it was at that time, right? I think the second thing is, one, I talked a little bit about my take on one's personality. I think, he grew up to be a little bit of a people pleaser. He's someone who wants to make the people around him happy, and that is probably what ended up with them in this position, was one trying to keep Alan happy to a point that he was no longer happy, right? And I think while he did kind of take steps to break up and kind of put that distance between him and Alan to put himself first, I think that innate people pleaser part of him, when that's a part of your personality like that, it's very hard to completely shut it off, right? And so I think when he knew that Alan has these feelings for him, that Alan is not able to get over him, that he isn't able to let go, that one himself probably contributed to that by having kept all of his resentment and some of the things that he was unhappy with to himself for so long. I think out of guilt more than anything, one feels like he wants to stay in order to help Alan get out of this. It is a very convoluted way of looking at it. Obviously, him being there is not going to help Alan get over him. But I think one was also hoping in some part of his heart that maybe in this process of staying and trying to help Alan let him go, maybe he might find happiness again with Alan, right? And I think that's what he alludes to at the end of episode 6, where he says that this is also my fault, like I was wrong, it isn't going to get better, it wasn't going to get better, I wanted it to, but it wasn't, right? I think this was kind of what he was alluding to the fact that at the end of the day, he also didn't want to give up on the relationship entirely, not until maybe after that huge fight they had in February, where one kind of was like, okay, I can't do this anymore. I think that was the point at which one completely shut down. Now, the question of, once one met Lung Jim, once he realized that, hey, this is someone I want to pursue, this is someone I want to be with, should he have kind of started taking steps to move out, to find his own place, to leave Alan fully? Yes. Right? If you ask my opinion on that, yes, definitely. I think once you met Lung Jim, once he'd slept with him, once he realized that this was something he wanted, this was something he wanted to keep, he should have started making steps to separate himself further from Alan. But that being said, I think one of the beautiful things about Moonlight Chicken is that it's very, very, very raw and real. It keeps the flaws of everyone very well intact, and I think in this way one is very human in this whole capacity. I think the fact that not only was he not able to leave, but he also wasn't able to tell Alan up front that, hey, I like someone, I'm seeing someone, I want to be with that person. I think it's very true to form. Like it's a lot of people do this, and it is something that happens every day in the world. And I think that's why Wen and Alan's story caught so many people's attention and caught so many people's passion and fierceness about it, was because a lot of people related to either Wen or Alan or the situation or that kind of breakup, going through that kind of breakup was very real to a lot of people. I think there was someone who, a reactor that I watched actually, shout out to Vex Reacts. If you haven't watched his reaction to Moonlight Chicken, I highly recommend it. You should. It's a joy to watch. It's his first BL, and the way he responds to everything is very authentic. His takes on all of the scenes are very genuine. What he kind of says about Wen and Alan, which I'll just kind of bring it up here now, is he said, in this aspect of things, in this aspect of the breakup, one is kind of a little bit of a coward, right? I think he didn't want to be the one to end things outright, which is why he's mean. He starts saying things to like put Alan off, to push him away, in the hopes that Alan is going to then turn around and say, okay, you know what, we're done. This is no longer what I want. Get out of the house, or I will get out of the house. And I think he's right. I think Vex Reacts was very right about that take, because I think one saw that he had tried breaking up of his own accord, and Alan didn't believe it, Alan didn't respect it. Maybe what needed to happen for it to fully end was for Alan to end it. And I think that's how one kind of saw that situation. He needed Alan to be the one ending it, because he thought that was when it would stick. But obviously, I mean, in that situation, it's very hard to say who is right, who is wrong. Everyone is kind of going off emotions. If you ask me, I think he should have kind of had that conversation and broken things out clearly. What he did finally in episode 6 could have happened on the night he met Uncle Jim, right? Or the next day. And this is what brings me to the third thing, which is, it's slightly darker, and it's not something too many people talk about, or that I have seen too many people talk about in either the reactions to the show or in their takes after the show. But the whole reaction Alan has to Jim and Wen, to finding out about Jim and Wen, is just a massive red flag for me, right? From essentially stalking one's stories to, it's not, the one thing that's not on him is Jim showing up at the bank for the loan. Like, I think that was just serendipity at its finest. Jim showing up in the bank that Alan worked in to ask for a loan was just pure dumb luck. But for him to then show up at the Moonlight Chicken diner at a time when he knew one was not in their apartment and so might be there, it all gives crazy, jealous, possessive boyfriend. And how he reacted in the restaurant, where he kind of yelled, screamed, cursed, called Jim names, demeaned his job, pushed, like manhandled and pushed one aside so he fell and hit his head. All of that was just very not okay. And him trying to apologize for all of it with just a sorry, what that kind of set off in the back of my head was, and one not being surprised by it, right? Like, one showing up with that wound to the apartment, knowing that Alan was going to be sitting there, possibly with the first aid kit. That whole act of him going and sitting next to Alan and getting this wound dressed and listening to Alan apologize and asking him, what are you even apologizing for, felt like a very practice routine, as if they had done it several times before. And so for me, it was kind of this moment of, was this something like one had experienced in the past? Like, maybe not with an actual affair, because I think given what we know about one and about Jim and about the story of Moonlight Chicken, one didn't really cheat on Alan before this. And so maybe it was more of people showing interest in one, or one being his general casual flirty self and like attracting attention from other men, and Alan reacting so possessively. It kind of looked like it was something one was used to. And if that's the case, if one knew to expect this kind of violent, angry reaction from Alan to finding out about Jim and One, then I don't know if I really blame one for not bringing this up earlier or making a cleaner break of it, because if you bring that aspect into things, then the whole mentality of abusive relationships comes into play. I don't know nearly enough about all of that to even speak to it, but what I can say is it changes the mentality with which people can approach conversations like that. And so it is something that's been in the back of my head. I would love to hear if anyone else has had that kind of suspicion, if anyone else has wondered whether that was an aspect of Alan's character that was hinted at but not fully explored for obvious reasons of not wanting to make it too dark a story. I would love to hear what you all thought. I think the last point, I kind of want to talk about Alan and Wen and the saga of their relationship is probably them just sharing a bed up until I think Wen decides to finally move out and moves to Uncle Jim's place. I think it's implied and very obvious that they are still sharing that bedroom up until that point. And I think this is where a lot of people, aside from the breakup itself, a lot of people are very split on this particular thing as well. Like one is, why didn't one move out? But the second thing is, okay, even if he didn't move out, why are they sharing a bed, right? I kind of, given everything, this was almost a non-issue for me. I didn't think it was something strange. And maybe that is because I myself have never been in that situation, and so it's not something I can relate to. But also going by timelines, right? And I've been going by timelines since the second time I watched the show. So the timelines have been very ingrained in me, and so maybe that's why this was not ever a point of contention for me. Because if you go by timelines, Wen and Alan have not been together but have been living together for for more than a year actually. As Moonlight Chicken plays out, it starts beginning of September 2022, and by the time I think one finally moves out and all of that happens, it's February or March, in and around that time, which means that they've been living together but not in a relationship for like well over a year, right? I am not sleeping on the couch for that long. Like, forget the fact that it would be like terrible on your back, but it was also, I think, a long-term situation that neither of them knew when it was going to end, given COVID, etc. And also another thing to keep in mind is that up until February 2022, Wen and Alan were still somewhat regularly having sex because Alan was initiating it and Wen was giving in. So given all of that, I think it probably made sense that they were still sharing a bed. That being said, I think it's very clear from the show itself, from how the show progresses, that one hated going home, right? I think any excuse he probably got, he went slept at a friend's house, he crashed somewhere else, he was out all night. I feel like he was probably living that kind of life for a large chunk of February to September 2022 till he met Jim. I think he was spending a lot of time outside the apartment, didn't want to go home, didn't want to see Alan. He probably went into the apartment after Alan was asleep and, you know, left before Alan woke up. I get the sense that they had very little to do with each other and after that massive fight in February. So that was never really something I gave too much thought. I didn't, it felt like a non-issue for me, but that was because of the timelines, that was because of all the implications of one spending very little time at home, that it didn't occur to me that it could be a problem. But I would love to hear your take on this. I have seen some takes before and I have kind of discussed this out with people, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are on that situation. Was it really strange, even if it's someone you're living with but not in a relationship with for over a year? Would you take the couch for the year? Is something to kind of ask. I'm a almost hilariously practical person, in which case that honestly I'm being very practical in my approach, that I would not sleep on a couch for that long. But that's just me. I would love to hear what you guys think. If you have been in that situation before and maybe took that call in real life for something, I would love to hear what you thought. And that kind of brings me to an end on the discourse around Wen and Alan and their relationship. Honestly, I think the way that relationship was played out and was shown in the show was just beautiful. The chemistry between First and Mix was not something I think anyone really expected, but they were so good on screen together. Really kudos to both the actors for being able to spark that kind of magic without their regular or usual partners, you would say. And actually for Mix, if I'm not wrong, Moonlight Chicken was the first time he was acting opposite an actor that was not Earth. And so, you know, kudos to him for doing that so flawlessly that it never even made you consider for a second that Alan and Wen were not together. Just beautifully done by both of them. Huge fans of their work. That brings me to an end of this video. I think with regard to the rest of the videos I want to do on Moonlight Chicken, I want to do one on Jim and Beam, which might be my next video, and I'll probably end everything with a video on Jim and Wen. Even though I've talked so much about them already, I don't know what I'm going to put in that video, but I'm sure I'll find something. After all, I'm a big FirstMix fan, so Jim and Wen are my whole entire life. So those are the two remaining videos that I have left, which I will put together. Hopefully they're not going to be in 2 parts, but I honestly make no promises, because I can't tell with these things until I actually sit down and start mapping out what I'm going to be saying in each of these videos. And that's when I realized that, oh, this is too much to say in one video. Maybe we should split this up. So I'll keep you posted on that though. If you enjoyed this video, please do leave a like. Like I said, share your thoughts in the comment section. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe and stay tuned for my future videos. I am on X, where you can find me. My handle is sunstories7, SUNSTORIES 7. I'll put the handle over here at the bottom so that you can give me a follow there, say hi, interact with me. I would love to hear from all of you. Until my next video, this is Sun signing off.